12 states have cut unemployment aid about 3 months before federal benefits expire in September. It's part of an attempt to boost hiring. Some Republican governors in these states have echoed the idea that unemployment aid incentivizes people to stay out of the workforce. But a new report by Gusto suggests cutting benefits had little effect on job growth. The report says states that cut benefits early saw their employment headcount grow 11.6% on average. That is compared to relatively the same rate of 11.2% in states that kept those unemployment benefits. CBS News MoneyWatch reporter Aimee Picchi joins me now to discuss. Hi, Aimee. Great to see you. So, according to Gusto, the difference in hiring rates between states that cut aid and those that didn't cut aid is less than 0.5%. So can you break that down for us? Why did it end up not having a bigger effect in those states?
Yeah, so it's interesting because these governors were saying if we cut this aid, which is an additional $300 a week in unemployment benefits, that people will be incentivized to get back to work. They cited seeing hiring signs all over their states, especially in restaurants and retailers. And so it was interesting to watch what happened after these states actually cut that aid. It started June 12th. Through June 19th, these 12 states cut their aid. And in the weeks after, they really didn't get the kind of boost that the governors probably had expected to see. And economists say that's because there are a lot of other factors that are impacting why people are going back to work or how they are able to find jobs. There are a couple big issues that these governors generally did not mention when they made these announcements. One is that the pandemic is still ongoing. And there are people who are concerned still about becoming infected and becoming sick. We see that in census data. They ask, why haven't you gone to work in the past week or so? And there are millions of people who still are saying it's because of COVID. I'm afraid of getting or spreading COVID. And the other reason is that there are parents with children who are dealing with childcare and school issues. This unemployment aid ended in June, right when school got out. And a lot of parents are still unable to go back to work or find places for their kids. And so they're unable to get back into the workforce.
And do any studies show what negative impacts, if any, cutting unemployment aid early had in those states?
Yes, there's an economist from University of Massachusetts that looked at the impact in these states of cutting the unemployment aid. And he found that while there wasn't an increase in employment, that there was an increase in hardship. So he's looking at census data that asks people, are you having trouble paying your bills, or have you had trouble in the past week in paying your bills? And in those states where they cut unemployment early, there was an increase in hardship. So that signals that people aren't finding jobs immediately, at least, and that's leading to real hardship for them and paying for the basics: groceries, rent, utilities, and other things like that.
And so, since cutting unemployment benefits doesn't seem to be working as some governors had hoped it would be, what are some of the things that have been working to boost employment?
Yeah, so this is really interesting. The Gusto study found that the states that cut unemployment but had the highest vaccine rates actually had most of the hiring, and then that the states that had low vaccination rates had very subpar hiring rates. So their takeaway from that was that vaccinations actually helps the economy, that people feel safer. They're going to be more likely to want to go back to work, especially in service sector jobs where you're dealing with the public. And so their takeaway is these states, if they really want to boost employment, they need to get the vaccination rates up. Some of these states that cut unemployment early actually have pretty low vaccination rates. Like Missouri, I think their vaccination rate is about 35 to 40%, which is lower than the U.S. average, which is 50%. So, the takeaway there is vaccinations can actually help the economy in making people feel safer and wanting to feel safe in getting back to work.
Aimee Picchi, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me on.